Hey guys, welcome to the 93rd episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, storytelling, and directing. I'm Oren Kaplan.
And I'm Matt Enlow. Today we've got Carlyn Hudson back on the podcast. She's going to talk to us about her second year in Los Angeles. She's made a ton of huge strides and big leaps, and I think it'll be interesting for people who are curious about what her roadmap was in particular, and also her roadmap in particular. I think it's kind of a textbook version of what you can expect from a director who's got a solid body of work under her belt, but also is looking to kind of make it in Los Angeles, what that second year looks like.
Yeah, we had a really good chat with her. We debated a lot of things, and we also answered some listener questions. So stay tuned, and we hope you enjoy the show. But before we get to our talk with Carlyn, we are going to read an iTunes review. We love reviews, as we've mentioned many times. If you want thousands of people to hear about your opinion, your project, anything, write a review for us, and we will read it on the podcast. So this review comes from Lionel K. He says, thoughtful filmmaking podcast from two working directors. Another listener fooled. An excellent podcast from two directors working hard in Hollywood. Oren and Matt do a great job of letting us into their world by sharing their experiences, processes, aspirations, and occasional anxieties. The guests are excellent. I always get a lot out of this podcast, and I'm sure you will too. This is an unpaid endorsement. Unpaid endorsement.
Bam, 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 bam.
Proof that Lionel has listened to an episode all the way till the end.
Hey, well done. Thanks, Lionel. We really appreciate it, and it really helps the show grow. So thanks for sending us that wonderful review.
Yeah, I think we've gotten feedback a lot of times that like our troubles in the job are just as interesting as like our successes. So I think hopefully we're giving people an accurate picture of what it's like to be a filmmaker in LA.
Highs and lows, guys. Highs and lows.
Yeah.
Oren, do you remember that on a recent episode we both pledged to rate or to leave an iTunes review ourselves onto a different podcast?
I do remember that.
And you're laughing because you had such a good time, you just went hog wild and you reviewed a bunch of different podcasts. That's what I'm picking up on, right?
Yeah. What's crazy is like I wanted really meaningful reviews, so I just started doing like a lot of research on the podcast makers of the podcasts that I wanted to review, and I'm still kind of, in the middle of a few drafts of reviews. So
Sure, yeah.
I haven't posted them yet, but I'm going to post them very soon.
I'm waiting for notes on mine as well. Yeah, so I guess that's a way of me saying next episode.
Yes.
We're definitely going to do it. And also, I guess I get it. It feels weird. You're never like listening to
you're driving in your car right now. You're listening to this podcast. You're hitting the skip forward 15 seconds because I don't want to hear Matt and Oren talking about iTunes reviews.
Keep your hands on the wheel, guys. We get it, but also it'd be really helpful. So thanks, guys.
Yes.
Let's have our conversation with Carlyn.
Hey guys, we are here with Carlyn Hudson, our friend / former guest / director. And this is
How many episodes is this for you?
This is my second.
Is that only your second?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Carlyn is in a director's group with us, so
yeah.
I guess I see you more than most of the time. I just see people on the podcast, or
we even have coffee, and we live down the street from each other.
That's true.
I think you've come to some of Matt's parties. If you want to meet the movers and the shakers in LA, go to one of Matt's parties.
There you go, guys. Or a party.
Or any party.
Any party.
Or just move to LA.
Yeah.
You guys have seen La La Land, right? It's all like that.
I was watching this thing have you heard of Film Courage on YouTube? Mm-mm. It's like a channel that has like 42 tips to make your script not suck or whatever from professional writers.
Send it my way.
A lot of them talked about like that moving to LA is a transition that's like a part of your career. So Carlyn, for the newer listeners, when you were on last time, you had kind of recently moved here from Austin, Texas. And how's it going? How's LA treating you?
It'll be 2 years in February, right?
Yeah, full time 2 years in February, because I split my time at first. Mm-hmm. So I might even call it
crossfaded in.
I did. I hardcore crossfaded in. I was slow to leave Austin. It's just hard to leave a town when you're like a big fish in a small pond and everyone knows you. And I had a career there, and it's been. I'm starting to love LA, which is great.
Yeah, 2 years, right? That's what it takes.
I say
LA.
3. I say 3.
I think 3 because I call it 2.5 since I like lived, but you know, I'm still meeting people. I don't have the same number of contacts here. I'm not working as steadily here yet, so it's been, you know, it has been easy.
Going to college in a town and then sticking around and building your career there are distinct advantages to that for sure. Just like, you know, growing up with people basically. Those bonds are hard to reestablish when you move for sure.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, but I was in Austin, you know, over the break and kind of came to the realization, I was like, part of me misses it, but I'm like, what would I be doing in Austin? The same shit I was doing when I lived there, but I want to do more, so you move. So it's like anytime I get sort of like romanticize my career in Austin, I'm like, well, this is what I have to do, and it's uncomfortable at times, but it's for the best.
And not to mention that you could easily do a job in Austin.
This past year, I've been kind of out of the loop with that.
Interesting.
Because I've been up for jobs in LA and not as many in Austin, which was strange.
Because I think last time you were on the show, you were in that situation where you were getting more jobs than ever in Austin because now, like, you were a little, like, fancier, right?
Totally.
Right. It's like our Austin director is now in LA, but she'll do us a favor if it's the right fit, the right project, she'll come back for it.
Totally. But now it's a little bit, I used to get lots of little directing jobs, just kind of like random,
right. Can
whatever.
you shoot this thing on Thursday?
Yeah, and now I'm not getting those calls anymore. And so I've directed less stuff this year because of that, this past year, 2017.
But that is, do you think, Matt, especially if you're doing commercials, which is a lot of what you do, Carlyn, like the more professional you get, the less shooting days you have?
Maybe so. And like I do feel like I've leveled up to some degree, and I've been up against you guys for jobs, and it's like great to be at that level. But at the same time, I'm like, oh yeah, where are those little one-day jobs where I get paid like $1,000 to show up and do nothing, and I don't get those anymore.
You know, it's funny. I don't think that I'm getting them as much either, and I wonder if maybe part of it is that that part of the business is fading away a little bit. You know, I think that companies are consolidating, or maybe that experimentation phase for like brands, where like it's like, oh, should we try some branded content? Now they're like, yes, and it's getting more expensive.
I don't know if it's like that here, but in Austin, what was happening was I was losing out jobs to DP directors left and right.
Yeah,
and I don't shoot.
Person that has their own camera.
Yeah. They pay that person, rate and a half, and then they're saving half a rate.
Or just one rate.
Woof.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have a camera,
Yeah. Well,
and they can direct well enough, Yeah.
Just throwing out a random theory that I haven't thought about at all, but do you think there is like, how there's always this like growing disparity between the rich and the poor? Like, it seems like what you're saying, Matt, there's really small projects and there's bigger projects, but that middle ground is kind of faded away. Like, people aren't making that like $30,000 video anymore,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true certainly for music videos, right?
No, but even like a small startup wants to make a video for their app.
I made a ton of $30,000.
Yeah, like spots. Little or regional things or something local, or like, hey, my grandma has like this business that she wants a commercial for.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably a little bit, and I think also we're just kind of, our rates are too high now, basically.
But
right?
it's funny because like there's times when I'm like, I'll do it.
Sure. But like,
take it.
Candidly, how much were you making on a $30,000 spot?
10%.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Because I feel like I could imagine a world where someone's like, yo, we've only got 30,000, we've only got 50,000, and they pay you less than 10% for sure.
Yeah.
And then it's like, when you're young and hungry, you're like, yeah, for sure. And certainly, if it's a slow season and you're not doing anything and you haven't been on set in a while, you say yes to that stuff. But I think that people tend to ask us a little bit more because we're up for bigger, better jobs.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, people are like, why are you doing so well in LA? And you're just like, I'm doing fine. I feel like I'm doing fine, but it's like, it's amazing what social media does. And like, you can put forth this image of yourself, which is not, I'm like, I get rejected all the time. I can't tell you how many times I got rejected.
For better
things, that's true.
Yeah. My wife is always telling me that I need to like work on my Instagram account to put out like this, like to give people an idea of what I'm interested in, what I do. And, Blake and I, our friend, we always talk about how you and Matt Enlow and Matt Pollock are really good at Instagramming like set photos, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Peter Atencio, Key and Peele.
Yeah.
That dude is the best at it.
I have to follow him.
It's a real treat. Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's
especially
almost-
when you're doing sketch comedy and it's
Yeah.
like people are doing crazy costumes and stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
It's almost worth like taking like 10 awesome photos on set and releasing them like one a week, right? Until you get
Yeah,
your next
yeah.
gig, so that it
I
looks
know.
like you're busy. There is this really weird thing in
Yes.
Hollywood that people want to book people that are working.
Yeah, a friend of mine was like talking about wanting this writing job and was like, they know I need a job. I'm like, and that is why you're not getting
Yeah,
it.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
have to act like you don't
Yeah.
need the job.
Yeah, the worst answer to an interview question of like, what have you been working on lately is, well, it's been kind of slow, so I'm really hoping I get this job.
It's
Yeah.
so funny. I feel like I'm so spacey. Like I could literally have just wrapped something incredible like 2 days prior, and if I'm interviewing for a job, I'll be like, it's been cool. Things have been good.
I will say I'm in this zone right now where I'm working on like 4 different things, and because of that, I kind of feel like I'm not working on anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and Matt has like 100 projects. You probably have a bunch of things going too, but it's like, it's
just
hard
like,
to...
I wrote some stuff.
It's so much easier
Yeah.
to be like, I have a Netflix show and
Yes.
we're writing every day, you know?
Because that's something like tangible that you can understand really easily, rather than like I'm developing 6 things,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
pitching 2, and
Yeah. Well, so you got a new manager recently,
yes, November,
November. So kind of
So pretty recent.
pretty recent.
at the
I didn't
end of the
realize it was
year,
so recent.
Yeah,
as everything's wrapping up, you got some representation.
yeah. I mean, it seems like it's going well. It was one of those meetings with her. Her name's Corinne at Rain Management Group, and it was just one of those meetings where I was like, oh, she really gets me. Like she understands the kind of stuff I want to make. She, seems to dig my stuff, and like, I don't know. It was really cool.
How did you meet Corinne?
So I have a friend who's in development at Berlanti Picture Productions. You know what Berlanti is?
Yeah, he does all the CW
Yes,
shows.
they do Riverdale actually, and
The Flash, Arrow.
yeah, tons of stuff, and Pan, the hit movie Pan,
Yeah.
and the big whatever production company, and he was kind of like, you don't have a manager yet. And I was like, no, I haven't really sought one out. And he was like, okay, you're going to get a manager. And so he set me up on all these meetings.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
It was crazy. I think he worked on I think he was like was on a desk at ICM
Got
or
it. So
something.
he has a
New people.
relationship with those people.
Yes. So I had all these meetings that he set up.
Were you privy to what he sent those managers to set up the meetings?
Not really. I sent him some stuff, but I don't quite know what he sent.
Like, did he send them your website, do you think?
I think he sent them like my website, but also I feel like I need to redo my website, frankly. But sort of like specific links and
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little explanation.
I wonder, I think that maybe at a certain point, it starts looking unprofessional again to have a website, studio level basically. Like none of those fuckers are like on Squarespace. You know what I mean? If they've
Right.
got a website, it's like much more about their personal brand. And like if you go on the Soderbergh's website, it's awesome.
Well-
but it's like set diaries and like auctioning photos. And he has like,
He's
know.
he's selling things on his website.
yeah.
That bums me out.
Well, they're super
Residual
cool
income.
though. They're all exposure tests. So it's
Oh.
like he'll have like a Polaroid from something, and it's super dope.
And I went, okay, I do want to buy one,
Yeah.
but it still bumps me out.
Yeah, you're like, oh man, I wish we had to do exposure tests,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Shit.
But commercial directors all have the biggest
Yeah, that's
commercial
true. That's
directors, whether it's their own site or the production company's site. I mean, the biggest commercial directors usually own the production company, so it's
Right.
kind of their site anyway.
Right.
And since we all deal with that, we need the sites.
Oh yeah, it helps.
But for your manager is like theatrical, right? Or like TV,
Yeah.
film,
yeah,
digital.
I don't think that those guys tend to have narrative.
right?
Sometimes-
That's the IMDb page, right?
Yeah.
It's kinda-
exactly.
I do go to meetings, when they're like, "Oh, we watched your movie." I'm like, "What?" They say you might feature, I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." I have no idea what they send people.
Boy, being in development, those fuckers have so much homework.
Yes,
They're
and
watching
usually,
and reading constantly.
usually I'm like, "You didn't watch my feature." So this one guy, I was like, "Oh, cool. What's your favorite part?" I was just so done. I was like, "This is so stupid." He went on like a rom-com. He's like, "So you have rom-coms?" And I was like, "No, I don't have rom-coms. Like, why am I here?" And he was like, and I said, "What was your favorite part?" And he's like, "Well, in the beginning, when the guy did the segue, and I was like, what else did you like? Then he named like other parts, and it was clear he watched the whole thing and actually liked it, and I was like, oh, now I'm a jerk.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
It's funny when you do indie films, it's like you never quite know if people saw your movie or think they saw your movie.
I mean, just make sure you have a good trailer, and then that's that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Did he name all the trailer moments?
No, because we didn't even, I hadn't sent, my managers haven't seen my trailer to my knowledge. Maybe they do. I don't know. We're meeting with them next week. We're having drinks. There's a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, so walk us through that, actually. So you've got new representation. Like, that's a great big step. Like, in 2 years, that's phenomenal, right?
Yeah. You think yes, it is. I'm being positive.
It is. It 100%.
That's a new year, new me.
But also it's like nice to kind of start the year with like...
True.
Yeah.
I have like 6 meetings already next week. It's just like
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, with who?
Paramount, Sony, Original Films, Blumhouse.
Never heard of any of these people.
Yeah.
You know what's cool about Corinne is I love my manager. And also she worked with like another guy who's one of the partners at this company, because it's not huge. It's like a mid-level one, and he also kind of reps. So they both are setting me up on meetings, and he's like middle-aged white guy, and she's like early 30s. But she worked at Bad Robot, so she came from a different. She didn't come up on a desk or whatever. She worked in development, and at Film Nation, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she has just like a different kind of cool background.
By the way, for our listeners that don't know what coming up on a desk means.
Thank you. It's confusing.
So if you work for an agency, a big agency, a CAA, UTA, one of those, you can, the kind of traditional old school way to do it, Gersh, you can start in the mailroom and like literally be like a floater, like if some agent needs an assistant.
Literally everyone starts in the mailroom. Like you could be like, oh, I have a degree from Harvard Law, and you start in the mailroom.
Really? There's no way to start on a desk?
You start
or as a floater?
in the mailroom.
I thought you could start on a
What
desk.
if like your uncle is like an agent? You can't be there.
You start in the mailroom. You get moved up fast, but like everybody starts in the mailroom. That's my understanding, at least. Maybe.
So everyone can say, I started in the mailroom. And you're like,
because that's the way you learn.
Now they have
people's
females
names
in there
and stuff
too.
like that.
Thank God.
Yeah, right. Everyone has like a master's degree.
Female room.
There's a female room.
Oh, okay.
It's a pun, guys. It's
Waka,
not
waka, waka.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
Male room, female room.
It went over my head too.
Well, not surprised.
What else is new? But yeah, I want to say I don't fucking actually know, so I don't want to misspeak. But most people start in the mailroom,
and so they work somehow. They get onto a desk, and they're someone's assistant, and they meet everyone because they are fielding all the phone calls.
Mm-hmm. And it's training of like how you're meant to act as an agent and like how deals are made. You're listening in on every single phone call, so it's a really specific boot camp basically. And then
but it is a real businessy side of Hollywood. So I don't know of a lot of directors that have kind of come up through the agency desks. I mean,
you eat a lot of shit.
Actually, my friend Minhal, who you should also have on the show, but she just made her second feature through Will Smith's production company. I think it's like $1 or $2 million. It's like a pretty big,
Cool.
And she worked at ICM, I think, too.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
But it's kind of different. But she knows a lot of people. She worked that network.
And you understand in a way that we don't get. Like
I'm still learning. Yeah, I'm like, what?
Honestly, I don't think I'll ever know.
No.
Like I'll just be like, oh well, I wore blue to CAA, and apparently that's a no-no.
Yeah.
I think it took me like 5 years in LA to know what rolling calls meant.
Yeah,
I hear people say that all the time, and I have no idea what they're referring to.
I'm glad that you do say that kind of stuff on the show, because I've listened, and when you take a moment to explain things, because I didn't know till I lived here, and I kind of wish I would have known some of these things. Like, I just didn't know what rolling calls was either.
Sure. So rolling calls is when, stop me if I'm misquoting this or misexplaining this, but my understanding is basically like, someone just slots out a little bit of time, an executive or an agent, and says, okay, like they've got the list of people that they owe a call to. So they're just going to go ahead and go down the list, and their assistant is going to just like dial people, and they're just going to like, jukebox through all of the calls basically.
Yeah. Something that is so weird to me still to this day is like, I'll be on the phone with Jacob, my manager, who has been on the podcast, and we'll talk. We'll be like, how are the kids doing? Went on this trip. This was funny. Oh my God, my kid got sick. Like this and that. Yes, I'm writing this thing. Anyway, what time do you think I should have that like email to you by? And then Jacob will say like, Josh, what time did we tell him about?
Yeah.
We'll get you
You'd
that
be like,
email
wait,
back.
what?
Be like, Josh, you're on the line.
Yeah, I know.
Like, yeah, and I
is
literally
weird.
Shout out
like
to
probably
Josh.
5 times have been like, is Josh on the line every time we talk? Because he's calling.
Yes.
It looks
Yeah.
like it's coming from
But
his
they
cell
never
phone.
say anything, so it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
weird. Yeah, like her assistant is Andrew, and she's like, Andrew, can you write that down? And I'm like, I was saying some personal stuff there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Always be nice to the assistants.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so nice to them. They probably think I'm like
No,
phony
they like
or
it because
something.
they get shit on too much. You know, like they're the first ones there, they're the last ones to leave. They have to
They're
go
so
do drinks and
nice.
stuff as well. Most of them aren't going to get to be an agent. Like, like
It just
honestly,
breaks my heart.
Carlyn's sad over
But-
here.
I am. It's just so hard.
Look,
what we do.
No, because they get a glimpse at what it's like to be an agent, and they
That's
decide
true.
if that's the type of person they want to be.
the heartbreaking one is when someone thinks they want to be an agent and either the opportunity doesn't arise, right? Because there's only so many slots, right? Like there's literally only so many desks. And so like even getting out of the mailroom it's a lot of like luck because that spot has to open up, right? But then agencies have a very specific culture, and from each agency it's very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And like most people aren't cut from that cloth.
Thank God. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're hardcore. They're like
hardcore.
they're not. When I was younger, I thought that they were people who took advantage of artists, or you think of like a bloodsucker, right? And they are sharks. They are really capable of sensing opportunity and leaping on it. They're no nonsense, but they also love movies. That's the weird combination of like, oh, they love supporting artists and helping artists, and yes, also making money for artists.
Hey, we like making money too.
Sure,
Yeah.
and we are bad at it.
Yes.
That's why we need them. Like if
Yes.
I had a legal degree, I'd still be like, it's fine. You know, like,
I don't really think of them as taking advantage of artists, but
they're
I think,
not. Yeah.
But I think their position requires them to be result oriented, and if an artist that they work with hasn't, provided any results in a year, they'll probably spend a lot less time on them the second year, and then they'll drop them the third year.
So what you're saying is I have 8 more months.
No, you probably have like a year and a half.
Yeah, you're in the honeymoon spot too. Like right now, like all of those meetings that are getting set up, they're excited for you, and like
Yeah, it is cool.
And those
You
are
know.
good meetings. I mean, I've had a couple.
I had a
good
great
meetings,
meeting
but
at
not like-
Disney. They've been sending me. I think it's because this, maybe because she worked in development. I don't know.
I think there's that, and I think that there's people want people like you to be directing stuff.
I have been meeting with a lot of women, unsurprisingly, and it has actually been pretty heartening to see women like junior execs or like kind of
Sure.
mid-level execs who are like dying to tell women's stories and people of color stories, and I'm like, thank you, like, for fighting for us.
Yeah.
There's not that many, but the ones that are there are like fighting tooth and nail, and I
Yeah.
am very excited about that.
it's like perfect timing for you, right? Like you're ready.
I think in 10 years it would be even better. No, I know. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're ready. You're totally ready. Like you'll have a TV show so soon.
I hope so. My
Yeah.
mother is very worried.
Well, tell her to
Carlyn's mom.
tell her to
listen
relax,
up.
okay?
Carlyn's
She's like,
doing
I'm just worried you won't have time
capital
to have a
G,
family. And I'm like, let's just pump the brakes.
You got it.
Family is
Y'all write my mom.
overrated.
No,
Oh.
tell her to listen to this podcast.
She doesn't know what a
You're doing great.
podcast is.
Yeah,
She lives
no.
in Seguin, Texas. They don't have
It's-
podcasts.
That is offensive. How did your Disney meeting go? What did you say to them? Did you pitch them any ideas?
I did pitch them a couple ideas and then had forgot sort of what how specific the Disney brand is, and
Oh,
was
right.
like, oh yeah, they're not interested in my sex ed story, right? It's Disney. But what's cool about Disney is like they have all these properties, right?
Yeah,
so
like
they're
Fox.
pretty. Yeah. Oh right, like Fox. So they're pretty open to hearing like different takes on things. And I also pointed out a few characters that I love that I was like, I want to make an Ursula movie who's a drag queen. Again, not exactly the
Sure,
Disney
sure.
brand, but
But they know that also.
But they
They're
know
like,
that.
yeah, that's a cool idea. We wish we could do that.
Yeah.
We like Carlyn.
and
You
I
know
have
what I
some
mean?
friends who've done Disney stuff, so that's kind of cool because like my friend David Lowery is one of their like favorite directors, and so they're like, oh, you know, Dave.
So are you interviewing to pitch
their-
specific new IP, or it's just in general?
That was
just
a
like-
general, yeah. But what's cool about Disney, I don't know if other studios do this, but they bring in writers for like these round tables.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I feel like my managers are positioning me to like be up for those jobs because you get paid really well to come in for a day or two and pitch ideas on existing scripts, which is a cool way I think to like get in the room more.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some people are a little more antagonistic towards those roundtables, but also like, yeah, Carlyn is shrugging. I'm shrugging along as well.
I don't know.
Right?
I mean, this was from the Disney exec's point of view, so of course she thinks it's a great opportunity.
Well, I think it's cool. I've done that in advertising too, like where we'll bring like 10 young, interesting people in and be like, hey, we have to come up with like a way to make whatever antacid's cool. Like, let's do it. Yeah. Antacid rap song, whatever.
I also like that she was like, we also have great lunch, sometimes sushi, and I was like, you get sushi for lunch?
The commissary over at Disney is pretty nice too, actually.
It's just cool.
Just
it's like
slumming it.
I guess the cool thing about all of this and going on meetings is like just having your name on. I know we've been at meetings on the lots and stuff, but like to have your name on a list.
Sure.
And
it feels good.
And you see the posters and you're like, I'm here. Like this is where our movies are made.
Yes, I would like a bottle of water.
Yes, I would like you have a cappuccino machine?
Okay.
I'll take one of those.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this podcast and you want to get onto the Paramount lot, just go there next week and tell them your name is Carlyn Hudson, and they should let you in.
That's right.
Wow.
They're like, oh, come on. Oh, Miss Hudson, we're so happy to see you. Come on in.
Yes.
So let's talk about trajectory a little bit, right? So have you had the chance to sit down with your team and like say, this is what we want 2018 to be, or is that forthcoming?
That's on the 16th. Yeah, because I have like a series that, the one that I talked about,
the long distance one.
Yeah, which is done now. But we want to find hopefully find a partner to release that with us, because it's like honestly, it's really good. We've been having test screenings, and it's just exciting to direct things. Or direct something you're like, oh shit, I would watch this.
Yeah.
Which like I have directed things that I wouldn't necessarily watch. But this one feels like, oh wow, this is good.
Or
and
even
new.
like, oh, this is a good commercial, but who wants to watch commercials?
Right. But this feels like a couple of the episodes I was like, I'm just so proud of them.
Yeah.
And so helping them make a plan for that, and then like I'm writing a couple features right now, and just that kind of stuff.
So what when you sit down with them, what's the top of the list? What do you want?
I don't know. What do I want to I need.
That's a hard question, right?
Yeah. It's funny, this past year was one of my slowest financial directing years. So part of me thought that like this year I was like, I'm gonna make more money this year, but actually I'm like, that's not really my goal anymore. I want to keep making stuff that I care about and keep developing my own work, because I don't have control over who hires me to direct.
Right.
But I do have control over what I can write and develop. Yeah. And so that feels like a goal to me.
Right. But is there like any focus where you're like, I'm going to write something that feels like an HBO show so that I can get a job directing an HBO show?
No, but there is a movie that I'm writing with my boyfriend, who's also a comedy writer, that feels pretty commercial, and would certainly be, it's a commercial comedy, and that's kind of exciting because it feels like we could maybe sell this. I'd love to direct it, but I don't know. That one feels more like could be more of a sample for bigger budget projects, perhaps.
Right. So there isn't like a clear, I'm gonna do this, make this, and get this job type of.
No.
Like, I guess if you wanted to get.
Do you have that?
I do, but it changes like every single day.
Right.
That's the problem.
The thing to think about though is you're the overall point of like, directing is hard. We all know that, right? Like that's the thing that we've all taken on. And so looking at this new year, what are the next steps? What are the things to do to create your own future and create your own career and curate your own career? I think for me, it's got to be a feature this year, basically, because like, no number of great digital series or like awesome short films are going to break through, basically. Like they will to a small extent, but like not having a feature is just such a huge part of the puzzle that it's like,
yeah,
it would be foolish to be like, why aren't things, getting better, and without one, basically.
Like we've talked about, my feature, I feel like most people actually don't watch it, but just the fact that I've made one checks a box, and I've made a feature and moving on.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, that's the thing that I'm focusing on this year. Which is
Good
funny
for you.
because I feel like all of my scripted series are like going great, basically.
The ones you're pitching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's, people are buying that stuff right now. I wish
Yeah.
that I wanted to write more of those, and I will, but I just am like in this like love affair with features at the moment and
Yeah.
having so much fun writing them.
I mean, it's that's wonderful, and it's weird because we all are of the age where growing up, like nobody wanted to make TV because TV was very bad. Like The Sopranos came out when like we were in high school ish, give or take. I don't know. I didn't have HBO. I wasn't watching it, right? So like that's kind of the beginning of good television. Before that, it was kind of like, well, of course you want to make movies because you want to make good art,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like basically since college have wired my story skills to be more serialized. And so for the first time in kind of a while, I'm like, oh, I need to like tell one story, not 5 seasons.
I think I'm kind of more with Carlyn, where I feel like the feature, you have like 3 acts and, beginning, middle, and end. And I mean, whatever, we talked about this already, but there's a billion resources that are like, this is how you structure a feature. But there's like no real resources of like how you structure your TV show, because you're trying to structure an amazing pilot where you teach everyone everything in like half an hour and do an example of an episode. And you're also trying to structure an entire season that should very much solve some mystery, answer questions, but also be open-ended.
Yeah.
So you can have more seasons, whether it's one more season or 7 more seasons, you have to be ready for both. I think you've seen it. There was a time when you would make this awesome short film, and based on just your directing of that short film, you can get an episode of TV or something. I think now that short film, hopefully you can turn it into a feature or a TV show like that there's some value in the content beyond just who directed it.
It's easier to make a short film. Like we've all seen so many awesome short films, and you don't have to go to a film festival to see them anymore, or like have an agent send them to you. Like you just Vimeo.com and you're looking at an infinite number of incredible short films. So you just have to stand out in additional ways, which, I think has been the thesis of the show, right? It's not just shoot it, but like just shoot something awesome.
Well,
Can you change the name?
No, I mean, I would disagree with Matt on that.
No, man.
To me, it's making stuff is more important than worrying about how good it is.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is that it has to be awesome.
Well, if it's not, then make another thing.
True.
But to create your own opportunities, I'm saying like it's got to be a show that Carlyn is super proud of. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that breaks you, and that's the thing that like everybody here and everyone on the show basically continues to benefit from is the awesome things that you make. Your point is like if you're precious about it, you're never going to make the awesome thing because you don't have enough practice or craft to get even close.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Robert Rodriguez thing, right? Where he's like, I made 100 short films before I made Desperado. Or, Malcolm Gladwell, the 10,000 hours thing. It's like making things is the practice. It's like writing. It's like, right? Everyone's like, if you want to be a writer, write. So it's that. And with directing, filmmaking, it's the same thing. Like you can't just dream of being a filmmaker. You have to make films. Well, Carlyn, it sounds like you have a lot of awesome things going on.
It's really interesting. Year 2, you have like a textbook year 2, right?
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, a dream one, right? Like getting good representation, like working a decent amount, and now you're like at the precipice of like the next chapter. Things were a little foggy in terms of like specifics of what you want, but like up is the direction, right?
Yeah, I think, if my long-term goals are pretty clear, I think it's directing TV, writing and directing my own features and TV. That's it. I'm sure that's all 3 of our
right.
goals.
If those are the goals, like, would you still do commercial stuff?
Nah. I didn't do much commercial stuff this past year.
So you're not...
I only did 2.
You're not, like, pursuing that in any way?
I am, because I need to pay the bills. And before I direct TV, But what's cool, what's so different about the LA market is that these digital series that y'all been doing that I've been up for, like, they don't exist in Austin. Austin has Rooster Teeth. That's it. They don't hire women. Hope they're listening.
Yeah,
they need to change that.
I work for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Well, but you also have the right like resume for them. You're probably too good for them, but clearly I love that company. but but anyway, so they did. It's just a different market. So I like being here too because I would rather direct a narrative digital series than a commercial. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like doing commercial stuff, but I never really quite like. I needed if I want to really do commercials, I have to hone in on like the exact thing that I do,
like the genre.
And I'm a little too broad right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Like I feel like doing the show has helped me realize like, oh, I do like dialogue driven comedy.
Yep.
Yeah. Because Matt and I have been up for a lot of the same jobs.
Yeah. You have to specify a little bit.
I have like worked over the past 2 years to figure out like on when you would hire Matt versus when you would hire me. And I do think if it's like a comedy dialogue thing, I feel like you go to Matt, even though that's like the genre that I work in also. But to me, if it's like a little more like driven. action comedy or just a little more, to me, like the worst thing is like a 2-shot and like 2 overs, you know?
Yeah. So maybe dialogue comedy isn't.
No, but then there's like a Geico commercial or Edgar Wright style stuff. Not that Matt wouldn't do that, you know, or not that I wouldn't do just like 2 guys in a living room talking about a football game or something. So I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion as to what all our goals are, but I think it's been a kind of interesting glimpse into a director that moved from a smaller market to LA and what, you know, your opportunities have been and meetings you've had. I
mean, I could go on and on, but I don't want to bore y'all. I mean, it's also like I have the opportunity since I'm a woman to be a part of all these programs.
Yeah, cool. Like the...
Yeah. I was a finalist in 5 last year.
Yeah.
5 of the freaking diverse director things. No, 3, and then 2 grants. So I feel like I might get one this year. I feel like 2018 is going to be the year that I get in one of these programs.
Oh, wow. Did you go for DWW?
Yeah, I was a finalist in that too and didn't get it.
You didn't get it? I feel like you would be like...
Well, thank you. It's my
Were
first year.
Were you waitlisted or no?
No, they only let 7 to 8 in. So it's interesting. Like hundreds apply. I think 60-ish get to the second round, and then I made it to the last round, which is 20-ish, and they pick 7 to 8.
And you apply with a script?
Yeah, with the short film script.
Okay, so that's a big part of...
I think so, but from what I hear...
It's political.
Well, not only that, but I don't know anyone who's ever gotten in that didn't apply multiple times.
Sorry, just to back up and remind listeners, DWW Directors Workshop for Women. I talked about it last year when I went to a screening. It's a great program, very prestigious, highly competitive.
It's through AFI.
It's tuition free. Yeah, it's a year-long program. You do a few workshops and like 1 month-long workshop, and then you make a short film.
Right.
Pretty rad.
It's pretty rad. I mean, I'll apply next year, and then I think if I don't get it next year, maybe I move on.
Have you gone to the screenings?
No. I'll go this year.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's like getting into a preschool. You gotta like start schmoozing with everyone involved.
All about this
yeah. I mean, it's of course it's political, and they also, you know, they want a diverse group of people, both in like age, race, whatever, sexual orientation, but they also need a diverse group of scripts and projects. So like I apply with a comedy script. Maybe there's a bunch of who knows?
Yeah.
It was the interviews were tough. I mean, like I went out of there like, oh shit, I was prepared, but I just didn't. It was
What's
rough.
like a tough question that you were asked?
Well, they were just kind of like they had read through all your stuff, and they'd be like, well, one woman, my worst one was she was like, yeah, I don't think this is interesting.
About your script?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, wow, is this a test?
Sure.
What do I say?
What do I say to that? Yeah.
Or no, not interesting. She said, I don't think this is. I said, I want to make this short because I think it's unique. It does have a really specific tone. It's a comedy, but it's like pretty dry and like but stylized, and it's just a unique sort of. I thought script, and the film was like, yeah, I don't see what's unique about it. And I was like, cool. Yeah, it's not for everyone. Nothing is for everyone. You know, we all have...
yeah, right.
So there were some questions like that I was just kind of like, wow, this person hated it. The couple women really seemed to love the project.
Wow.
It was intense.
Well, I feel like you will get it. Unless you get like a TV directing job before that, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. It's kind of a narrow window also, right? Because
window.
like once you start working in the big time, you're not eligible anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, it was interesting because again, like 20-ish make it to the last round, and I knew 7, 8 women. I knew almost half of them because they were my peers. You know, I'm like, oh, there's this woman who was up against this job with me. Here's 3 other film fatales who
Right.
that's like a lady feature director group. So it
Right.
was, and also women who were like in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Which is rad, I think.
yeah, which is rad. But it's also, it just goes to show everyone, especially women, you know, we're just so desperate for opportunity. And there's these few with so you're just like, all people who've made 4 features are up for these programs.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, when I interviewed at AFI, like the question that sideswiped me the most, it's so dumb, but they just asked me what my favorite movie was. And I was like,
Yep.
don't say Fight Club.
No, it's okay to say Fight Club.
Please just make sure people don't say Fight Club.
It's okay.
The listener should know not to say Fight
I mean,
Club.
yeah.
I was like, well, there's so many great movies out there.
Well, there
are.
I was
Yeah.
like, I just saw this movie that I really liked, this Gus Van Sant film, Elephant. And they're like, oh, do you know why it's called Elephant? And I was like,
No.
is there an answer to that? And they're like, yeah, it's based on this old like 1930s film or something called Elephant that was about a story from different perspectives about an elephant or something. I was like, oh, how would a
Cool.
human being know that?
Yeah.
Read film
That's why I
comment.
need to go to.
Well,
AFI.
it's funny because those interviews, I've been doing all these generals, and I was like,
Right.
I am great in a room, like I can be relaxed, and then these people just extremely pointed questions, and I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
It's fun. You got to do like a few of those interviews to get good at them. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always like, guys, can we get one of the crappier rooms first? Like, let's warm up a little bit. Like,
Yes.
don't put a big fish in the first lineup.
Yes, that woman was the second person I talked to out of like 9.
Yeah.
I thought, this is going well.
What do you say when people ask you what your favorite movie is?
Oh.
In a room, not at a party, but like in the environment that Orange
Depends who I'm
describing.
talking to and what I'm pitching.
That's the right answer, right?
Okay,
'Cause they just
so there's like the film school people, which you kind of want to get a little in the weeds,
Sure.
right? Like you don't want to say Wonder Woman or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then there's Fox or something, right? That you're.
I think it's
I-
okay to say not Wonder Woman because it's so recent. I think you could say like,
Election.
yeah.
I love election.
I love Election.
Okay,
All
well,
right. Questions, yeah.
Let's get to
Yeah.
some listener questions. We only are going to do 2, but they are voicemails. So here is the first question.
Hello, this is Andy again. On the last episode, you answered my question on screenwriting, and it was super helpful. I had another question, if you don't mind me repeat asking questions. I'm in an interesting situation. I got my MFA in film directing, and then I got married to a guy in the Air Force, and he's super supportive, but we move around a lot. The chances of us ending up in LA anytime soon is not exactly plausible. So I was wondering what recommendations you'd have for an indie filmmaker that's on the move, whether it be connecting with local people wherever I go that are into filmmaking, focusing mainly on screenwriting. Can you kind of screenwrite from anywhere, or do you have to start out in LA as a screenwriter and then you can start from anywhere? So a lot to work with there, but if you have an answer for that or a direction, that would be awesome, especially if I'm traveling internationally or wherever we're going to end up, because that's military life. Yeah, thank you. And thanks for answering my question on the last show.
It's a pretty good question, right?
Yeah.
Not an easy answer. So thanks, Andy, for leaving us a voicemail. We love them. 2 voicemails from Andy. Thank you, win most voicemails. But yeah, what do you guys think? I think it's...
Yeah, but that's tricky, right? I guess I don't really know enough about how long you're stationed at any given place. Do you guys know that?
I think it's a couple of years usually.
Yeah,
It
it's
depends on
probably...
branch of the military, perhaps.
Yeah, that
Air
sounds
Force.
right.
Air
Air
Force.
Force.
But I'm assuming it's different depending on your rank and what you do. I guess just to randomly start answering questions and take everything with a grain of salt, because we're kind of guessing here a little bit. But I do think screenwriting you could do from anywhere. There's 2 parts to that. There's the writing of the screenplay, and then there's the like getting it to people and meeting people and getting it read. I've met a lot of people that write not in LA, and they'll come to LA for a week and try to set up a bunch of meetings. I think that totally works. In LA, there's something easier about being a writer here because everyone's talking about writing all the time. But that doesn't mean anything. I think you have all the resources you need anywhere in the world.
Yeah, the act of writing isn't the hard part in this circumstance, because you just need a laptop, you can do it wherever. It's getting read. That's the hard part, right?
Yeah, but you can do, I mean, obviously you can do it remotely to some degree, and you can set up meetings, you can pitch people, you can enter competitions. I know it's controversial to some people, but I think the good ones, if you win like Nichols or whatever, Austin, like people will read your stuff. They don't care where you live. You can email Kate Grady at Adaptive, a log line, and see if she's into it. Like, there are avenues to do stuff remotely. In terms of filmmaking, I mean, Austin is not exactly a tiny film market. It's like probably in the top 10 in the U.S. But you can make stuff wherever you're at.
Yeah, if she's at a place, say I have a friend who's married to a guy in the Navy, and like they were in this kind of remote Georgia town for 2 years. But that's the kind of place where like you can get people to work on your movie for.
You could probably get like a million free extras.
Anywhere.
Shoot in the most beautiful places.
Yes.
I many years ago went on tour with Keith Urban as like one of the camera operators, and it was like shocking. So when you go on tour like with a band from like venue to venue, you're on a tour bus and you work during the day and you sleep in the tour bus, and it drives you to the next venue while you're sleeping, and then you wake up, you like shower at the venue, and you have the day off until the concert. And I was always shocked that nobody that is on tour, especially there's all these tech people and camera people, and you're like in a community of like hundreds of people traveling together with like unlimited resources. Like, why nobody set a TV show that takes place on a music tour, because I had access to like the Staples Center, like totally empty. I could go anywhere and shoot anything and do anything, like,
wow.
And backstage everywhere. We were in Wisconsin, and we were in like Nashville, and we were everywhere. So I think if there is like a way that you could do a show that takes place, on an Air Force base, and you have soldiers and you have airplanes and you have houses, there is a way to do that. It's a big undertaking, but you could do it depends on what kind of stuff you like. If you like kind of a doc style look, you can kind of embrace that, and getting a camera and a sound person is not that hard. You can do it yourself. So I think there's opportunities that, it's a little bit of an uphill battle.
That's such a unique situation that I'm like, right from your point of view, and like right about your life, because that's something that I'm like, what's that like?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right on. And I guess the thing that, to me, I feel like you should be making things as often as possible in those shifting environments, because the thing that I'm worried about for you, Andy, is like having the relationships to get a thing read, or rather not having them in a larger market, makes things challenging, and I don't want you to be held back by that, right? So like having an awesome short film, or even a indie feature with this crazy sort of environment and point of view that Carlyn's describing, like that's undeniable in a way that like it would be it's easy to ignore a script. So I feel like my money's on go make it, right?
Yeah,
as much as you can, and show it to
Even
people and email
films.
people. And
Yeah, go make a short film for sure, because wherever you're going to be is going to be somewhere more interesting than shooting on Sunset Boulevard to me.
No doubt.
And don't try to make it feel like a Hollywood thing.
Right.
Make it feel as genuine to where it is, as you can.
Make a Florida project every 3 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Great
for wherever
film.
you're living. Yeah.
There are 4 Air Force bases in California.
San Diego's a big one, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, I
I
mean,
think San Diego has the best weather in the world.
the other
San
thing
Diego weather's incredible.
is, maybe sell that screenplay and then just convince your husband to move to California with you, and he can he can be an Air Force script consultant, and
He could be like Adam Driver.
Yeah, that's true.
What did
He
do?
was in the military.
Yeah.
Adam Driver.
Yeah, I think it was Marine. I think he was a Marine.
I think so, but I do not know for sure.
I'm not sure. That's
But isn't
that's
that
a guess.
fascinating? He was like in the Marines.
I imagine a lot of people were in the military, don't you think?
But I mean, like a movie star? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so.
Darth
Really-
Vader Jr.
Yeah, I know who Adam Driver is.
No. I just thought it was fun to call him Darth Vader.
I mean, back in the 50s, every actor was in the military.
Gal Gadot? Just kidding. Everyone has to be in the
Yeah,
military.
Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, well, thanks, Andy. Hopefully
Andy,
that
good
was
luck.
helpful in some way. But yeah, let us know.
Andy, also,
How it
if you're
goes.
trying to make money, I wonder, Carlyn, I think you can speak to this best. It's hard to get in. The thing you're worried about is like, oh, you're getting into a film community and then all of a sudden you have to leave, right? It takes a little bit of time to get that mojo working, right? But that being said, there are like small markets with commercial opportunities. If you were in Andy's position, do you think it's worth it to try and do commercial work on the side to make some scratch, or just focus on?
I would focus on developing work.
I mean, it depends what kind of, if she wants to direct commercials.
Then, yeah.
It's actually, that's something I totally didn't think about. But if you are into that and you made some regional commercials or just approached businesses, I mean, Rhett and Link, they like got famous off their like local commercials they made.
Oh, yeah.
It could be an interesting opportunity too. So yeah, take your limitations and turn them into your superpowers. Next question. Very similar to Andy's question. Here it goes.
Hi, my name is Kip Adler, K-I-P-P, Adler. I'm calling from Tel Aviv, actually. And first of all, I really liked your guys' podcast. I didn't go to film school. I'm learning a lot through it, listen to it, appreciate your guys' honesty. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I'm from Israel, and there's a really nice film scene here. The way it kind of works here is things are a bit more go with the flow. That's the Middle East, after all. But yeah, I ended up getting a gig. I'm directing documentaries for American television, and I have my own production company, Adler Media. I do commercials, I've done comedy sketches on my own stuff, all sorts of stuff. So I've kind of done the avant-garde route. And like I said, things are more free-flowing here, and I'm wondering, because I'm planning on moving to America within a couple of years, making moves, and I wanted to know, like, if you have any recommendations for how to properly build a portfolio or what exactly to do to get noticed there. I'm not sure if I'll end up in LA or New York or somewhere in between, but definitely want to get jobs, in the film industry, or at the very least, marketing and commercials and things like that. Just keep with what I'm doing now. So yeah. Oh, and my I don't use Twitter so much, but my Instagram handle is @KipAdler, KIPPADLER. I'm pretty active on Instagram and not on Twitter. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
So that was Kip Adler from Israel. I just want to do a quick shout out, say that I am also from Israel, also from Tel Aviv. I lived there till I was 5 years old.
Kip, your Instagram is dope. You're making Oren look bad.
Oh man, you have a good Instagram.
It's pretty good.
I've also been to your website that has cool things. What was interesting is there's some commercials on there, madlermedia.com, that I think are like for American companies, but to me as an Israeli, they kind of look like they're shot in Israel. Because, Israelis can they look like anyone. But there's just little hints in the set design and the looks of all the extras and stuff that you're like, oh, I think this was shot in Tel Aviv, even though it's for a Bay Area company. Anyway, so Kip's question is a little different from Andy's in that he is planning on moving to the U.S., right? And he wants to know what to do, how to prepare.
Well, and it's funny. I have a couple friends who had similar issues, basically, where I had a DP friend who had a dope career in Dubai, and then we started in London, moved to Dubai, and then now is here in the States. And his campaigns are awesome. It's all the biggest companies. It's sports cars and Coke and everything, but it doesn't seem Western. And so even though it's premium stuff,
right,
he's found
there's
challenging.
7 Lamborghinis in this shot.
Yeah.
In the U.S., we would only use one.
Yeah.
It's on the nose.
And so it's been an interesting challenge for him, actually. And a buddy who shot a while in Morocco as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just, this isn't, on an emotional level, I would say to Kip that no matter where you come from, when you move to LA or New York, you're going to be new and it's going to be humbling. I've had a very humbling couple of years. And I, now looking back, I think it's been great for my personal growth. And it's been okay, this is what it's like to kind of start from scratch and have to hustle like I never had before. But to just be kind to yourself and know that it takes time. Because it will take time. Yeah,
for sure. I do wonder, based on very little I know about Kip, if New York might be a more interesting place to move to first. if he was more primarily interested in advertising. There is a big Israeli film community there, and they're advertising based, and I think that it is a little bit more of a go with the flow attitude, and it's also a way more fun and easy and accessible city to move to when you are moving to a new city compared to LA. I think if you want to work in narrative film, like LA is the place to go. But yeah, in terms of building portfolio, we talked about this on the podcast before, but what I've done is I just find directors that I want to have their careers, and I look at their portfolios and I try to see how they present themselves, and see how I can take my work and present it in a similar way.
Yeah, I wonder, you guys chime in on this one, but to me, the thing that I'm nervous about for Kip is that, based off of my friends' experiences, you want it to feel like, oh, it's of the place that you're shooting in, right? It's kind of the opposite of Andy's problem. Andy gets to travel all over the world and ideally gets to evoke those different locations in her filmmaking. Kip, because he's specifically in one place that's not the States, when you move to the States, I'm worried that there will be a bias of it not counting, right? So what you're saying, it kind of, you have to start from scratch. So I've been racking my brain to think of what are the things to do to embrace being in Israel and shooting cool stuff, right? And then also making sure that you don't get pigeonholed as a quote unquote Israeli filmmaker. Do you know what I mean? That you get stuck just doing, I don't even know what that would be exactly, but
yeah, I don't either. Oren?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't want to assume too much, but based on Kip's accent, he is American or
sure
Canadian or something.
That's not what I'm saying.
Israel,
no.
and so I don't think his sentiment or his aesthetic is especially Israeli. I don't know, but from going to his website, Madler Media, it seems like a production company. On the first page that you go to, it says, we'll make, hand-picked creative video boutique service all in your budget. What we offer, your brand deserves quality video. It seems like it's not a director's website. It's a production company's website. And if you want to bring the production company to the U.S. and your whole team, that might be easier, especially if you attack San Francisco tech sector or someplace that is a little less competitive than Little Caesars commercials, 30-second TV commercials. If you want to come as a director, I would just make a totally new website and just have your portfolio and just start trying to find gigs, and maybe cutting your documentary stuff that you're shooting now into 30-second or 60-second spots.
And what we were saying, or what I was saying about commercial directing is, if he wants to do commercials, then finding that one thing that he does really well and making a portfolio that, if he does car, I don't know what he does, but whatever it is, honing in on that specific thing.
Right. Well, he said that he did some documentary stuff for American companies. So I know that stuff is super in demand right now. Production company I'm at, they don't really have a doc person, and
they're looking
would
for
love to,
kind of lifestyle.
Actually, Carlyn's done a good amount of that stuff.
I have done a lot of that stuff. But see, this is the thing. I do dialogue comedy, and I've done a lot of lifestyle doc stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But looking at his website, he's done a lot of kind of tech company type things. I don't know if you guys know Sandwich Video. I think we've talked about them on the website, we've talked about them on the podcast, but they do a lot of that stuff. That might be a website to check out, Kip, to see. They're really successful, to see kind of what they do and how they succeed here. But yeah, well, hopefully that was helpful in some way. Sometimes I feel like our listeners who are asking us questions are you did not answer my question. but at least we discussed it, and they're all very valid questions, so I think that's cool. Well, before we leave, should we endorse some things for free?
Right.
Unpaid endorsements.
Did you guys read that Ridley Scott interview that was making the rounds?
He's made a few. Hasn't he done a few lately that have made the rounds?
Well, he did replace an entire actor in his movie over the course of a week, and then the new actor is getting amazing reviews, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, that was wild.
Vanity Fair had an interview with Ridley Scott where they talk about All the Money in the World, and also Blade Runner, and just his career in general. And that dude makes a movie a year. Alien is basically my favorite movie of all time.
He's 83.
Yeah.
He's 83?
And makes a motherfucking movie a year faster than any other Hollywood director, under budget all the time.
Yeah, and big visual effects, like spectacular spectacles, not biggest, like tiny movies.
So the thing that's so delightful about this interview is that he does not give a fuck. He's just like really brazen and open about like the mistakes that he's made and like why he's good at what he is or what he's good at. It's like, it's the combination of being 83 and also making a movie a year for the last couple decades. So it's like a real delight of a read. And also I think there's probably a good number of little nuggets to pull out of it. But he was like, yeah, Blade Runner's too long. I fucked it up. It was my fault. And doesn't care. I mean, he cares because he wants to make good movies, but also is like a grandpa.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's awesome. I will read it. Okay, this is dumb. But I freaking love Southwest Airlines.
Me too.
I've been flying them
love
all.
Southwest Airlines. I am like their biggest. Sorry, you're obviously the biggest for it. I second this recommendation.
I've been flying them all winter break. So I was just in St. Louis a couple days ago, and I took an Uber ride from the house to the airport. And my Uber driver was telling me that he's coming out to LA. And he's like, yeah, but the tickets were so expensive. It's like, how expensive? He's like, I don't know, it cost me like $380 for one way, but it was the only flight, and I have to fly through Phoenix. It's American Airlines. Oh, he was flying to San Francisco. And I was like, as he was talking, I was like looking it up on Southwest. I was like,
of course you were.
You could have flown directly from here on that date on Southwest Airlines for $270, and luggage is free, by the way. American Airlines is like $50 or something, or like $25 for your first luggage, $50 for your second. And they give you free snacks too and free drinks. And he got so upset. He was so angry. He was driving like 7 miles per hour on the freeway. I was like, okay, if it's Southwest, I mean, the luggage is free.
I love Southwest, yes.
So the two big things, the free luggage, which everyone needs to have, and
the big one, changing your dates.
Yes, you can change your ticket for free.
For free.
Yeah.
They put the money in your account. So it's like, say I have a $350 ticket that I don't use and cancel it. It's just in my account, so I can use that credit for next time.
Yeah, they also have a really good credit card and frequent flyer mile program. The thing that a lot of people hate, and my father-in-law, he's like 6'6" or something, is there's not assigned seats.
Just pay $15 to get upgraded. That's what I do. You pay $15.
Oh, that's the hard way. What I did is I had a child. If you're traveling with a child under 6, you get to board at the latest between the A group and the B group.
Mm-hmm. Or, and I think what that means. Maybe having a child is a little harder than paying $15.
Oh, it was pretty easy.
Yeah, for you it was easy. You're just like, look, I just
I'll tell you how it works later.
Also, I did like some videos for Southwest.
Oh, really?
Years ago, like their corporate videos, and I interviewed like the CEO and like whatever. And they were so nice. I just like couldn't believe how nice they were.
Do you know what their stock ticker is?
No.
On the NASDAQ, it's LUV.
Yes. That's why it's like a LUV like love voucher, and that's so funny. They were just so nice, and they were so like humble and like shook my hand. Thank you so much for coming. I was just so charmed and thought, this was already my airline, but now I'm really sold.
And a lot of times, like the flight attendants will like make
comedy
jokes
routines.
And stuff.
I don't like that.
Okay, that made me neither.
I dislike that actually.
That is those videos online.
It's
too.
funny. I liked them when I was like single, just traveling alone. But when it's like with my whole family and like babies screaming and everything, you're like, okay, yes, we know it's not your fault. It's the asphalt. Okay, we get it. Like many times.
I haven't heard that one. That's funny.
Carlyn, you're into all of it.
Okay, Carlyn, what have you been liking lately? I was not prepared.
My first thought was even stupider than that was. I got an Alexa for Christmas.
Oh, yes. I've been meaning to buy one. An Echo, right?
An Echo, but you say Alexa.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I say Alexa.
I just love it because I wake up, and I like to listen to KCRW or like NPR in the morning, so I can just, while I'm making coffee, can say, Alexa, play KCRW, and it starts playing. And
have you done the flash briefing?
No.
Flash briefing, it may be a little redundant for you, but it's like, here's like, you've got like 5 minutes, you're making coffee, and it just gives you the rundown of like, here's the top news of the day and the weather.
That is amazing.
Yeah, Matt's like a big...
Okay.
That is the thing I use it for. That's it.
I also,
and setting kitchen timers.
I was just about to say, I cook a lot, and I set a lot of timers.
Yeah, you're doing the dishes or whatever. It's like,
when I was in St. Louis, I was hanging out with like this family's kids, like a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old or something, and I was like, hey, Maddie, like, can you like blast some music in here or something? And she's like, yeah, Alexa, play Taylor Swift. And it just like played
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. It was
Oh, you
like,
mean around a child?
yeah.
Oh, my
man.
3-year-old niece just goes, Alexa! Just like,
Yeah.
Lex. She doesn't recognize it because she can't really say it totally, but with kids, I may not have one.
Yeah, I've
They,
Dear
yep.
friends
Oh,
who
I
have a
think
kid.
it's awesome. It's like,
They can like order things.
Until yeah.
oh, yeah.
yeah, or they figure out how to play.
We did have
I
40
want a
American.
hippopotamus for Christmas over
girl
and over and over
dolls.
again.
Oh, this is what happened to you?
Yeah. It's very cute for me. Those parents were like, Christmas is over.
Yep.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
sorry you guys hate children.
Not sure if anyone's heard of the Amazon Echo. I'm so glad I recommended this.
No, but
Putting
is.
it in the kitchen is a pro tip, though.
It's the kitchen
Yeah,
where it's really, God, I love it.
And you know that if you buy the the
dot?
dots, you can drop in on another room. So if you have a family with
yeah.
children, you can put like the dot in their room, and you can like use it as an intercom system.
I went a little
What?
crazy, and I have two. My apartment is not big enough that I need two. And I'm actually a little disappointed with the way that they interface with each other, because you think you set a timer on one and the other one's going to get it, or like they don't play as well together as you'd think they would. Actually,
And can't you? I heard you can play music like on all of them, like the same song, like
like the
throughout the
Sonos
house.
system or something?
I don't know that.
I don't know.
I've never done that before.
Oh.
It's kind of like you have two. For me, at least, I haven't done a good job maybe of networking them, but it feels like there's just two different stupid machines that.
Somehow we have a Sonos, a Google Home, and now a Echo.
Oh, you have a Google Home too.
A small one.
Does your Sonos have Alexa built in?
I don't know. It's just we got them all for free. You know, my boyfriend
Yeah.
and I just like it's a sort of a mess.
Wait, what do you guys steal them? What do you mean?
Yeah, no.
You're like, my boyfriend and I, we get them for free.
Carlyn, your main tip: be a cat burglar.
Yes.
That is how you
be a
survive.
cat burglar.
Wait, how'd you get them for free?
Because he works at a marketing place and like they always have like end of the year stuff to give away, and last year was a Sonos and this year it was a Google Home.
Wow.
But I wanted the
I'm
Echo.
dating the
How'd you
wrong
like that-
person.
How'd you like that Sonos?
I like it.
Yeah,
It
what-
sounds better than the Echo
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But you can't talk to it.
That's
No,
true.
but they have a Sonos. So the Echo is like $100, but you can get the Sonos one. It's $200, and it's got Alexa built in. That's what our friends had.
It's a lot. I regret this recommendation.
Anyway, if we want to find out what you're up to, should we visit your website?
Just call me, I think.
What's your
Easy.
phone number? We'll put it in the show notes.
I really need to update my website, but
You're on Twitter.
ish. Yes, I have a Twitter handle. Hey Carlyn.
Cool. CARLYN.
Yes, and then I think Instagram probably is good. Carlyn Hudson is my Instagram handle.
I love an Instagram handle that has no underscore in it. No offense.
Or my website
Listeners.
is carlynhudson.com.
There you go.
Cool. Well, you can find out more about the show at justshootitpod.com. You can see the show notes for this episode. You can find out what Matt and I have been up to. You can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter. We would love if you like our Facebook page. It's Just Shoot It Podcast. Leave us a voicemail at 1-262-6-SHOOT-1. Send us an email, justshootitpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Leave us an iTunes review. Sorry we're asking for so much. I guess the most important thing would be the iTunes review.
iTunes review.
You guys are really pushing those iTunes reviews.
Are we pushing them too hard?
I don't know.
It is the biggest thing. It is the way to push
It is
this.
the way, yeah. And guess what? Our listeners are
They're
not
they're
that great at
responding.
reading them.
Oh, they're not?
We've had a few, but
Come on, guys.
we'd like more.
Help us out.
And yeah,
We're like
that's
the
it.
NPR pledge drive.
This episode was edited by Jay McCullough, and our webmaster is Ewan Williams.
Music was provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist Jazar.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.